I believe deep down that the plants that we have had on Earth, even before the onset of the pharmaceutical industry in the last 150 years, the plants have had all of the answers to our ailments. All we have to do is unlock them. If you don't have your health, what do you have?
You are a functional medicine doctor.
Join us as we blend modern and ancient wisdoms to be well now.
It's a beautiful morning for some green tea.
Green tea is actually a bioenhancer. So yeah, we might as well talk about bioenhancers if you're drinking green tea.
Which I'm not. I'm actually drinking coffee.
Oh, you pulled a fast one on us, huh?
My daughter has a purple mug. It's the only mug I own. And
it's a nice looking mug.
But if I were drinking green tea, I could potentially be enhancing my biology, which is kind of a big deal.
Absolutely. Improving the benefits of your body as far as the utilization, or if you happen to be on certain medications, you could benefit from the use of green tea.
Look, you're Dr. Ron Dummar. I'm a curious patient of yours. We have this podcast called Be Well Now, and we like to focus on living in the present and being well, and you're like obsessed with plants in the best way.
Yeah, I love plants. I study plants all the time. I'm obsessed by their compounds and what they can perform on human physiology and how uniquely they symbiotically work with our bodies.
You don't sound that excited.
I'm so excited. Do I need to ramp it up a little bit?
Let's give the people what they want.
All right, hello.
All right, so green
Today
tea
is plant time. Sorry, did I spit on you now?
No, you're good.
I'm overdone.
That's where I like to see the enthusiasm.
There we
All right,
go.
you have 5 bioenhancers. We've been talking about these, so we'll link the other 2 episodes.
5 more, yep.
Yeah, but essentially these help your physiology if you're on prescription drugs.
Absolutely. For the previous episodes, if you haven't heard the previous episodes, you'll want to go back and listen to them most likely. After hearing the incredible, enthusiastic presentation today.
How could you not?
Yeah, absolutely.
How could you not?
But the bioenhancers, essentially what they do is they improve human physiology. So whether you're taking medication or not, it's going to benefit the cells of your body. However, if you are or do happen to take medication, or you're using some of these herbals and then happen to need a medication, the medication is going to be much more effective in your body. So a lot of times people will go under anesthesia, or they'll have some surgery performed or something. And the medication, the dosing needs to be ramped up because their body is a point where it's pushing through and pushing through and pushing through that medication. It's just clearing it really quickly. But if you happen to be utilizing herbal enhancers, what will happen is that medication will have a more significant impact in the body at a much smaller dose, meaning you don't have to have as much medication.
Okay, well, that's exciting. So let's talk about, and we've talked about, what, turmeric, ginger, grapefruit, garlic.
Yeah, licorice,
black pepper, licorice.
We've talked about a lot of things, very common things. These are very common household things, many of them. And what we want to also cover is some more specifics about how these interact on the cell level.
Okay, so anyway, I selfishly chose green tea because it's the one that I heard of first. So what is green tea?
Green tea, simple, right? Everybody drinks green tea. I mean, I think green tea was discovered in China in 2700 BC, right?
Really?
Yeah, so you and I were around back then, obviously.
To document
and
discovery.
Right, exactly. And you were the assistant of the emperor at the time, and this guy had a tea leaf found in the preparation of one of his warm drinks. And he thought it added quite a refreshing flavor to that. Well, this is how the story goes, right?
We hear these
written
things.
on stone tablets or papyrus. I don't know exactly how it comes across. But 2,700 years ago is when the first documented tea was consumed. And then it became a practice really of the elite, that only the elite could have it because of the cultivation and the practices of it. It became something for kings and rulers and magistrates and things like that. Well, now today, green tea is throughout the world, right? You can go into any coffee shop, you can go into any hotel, into any restaurant. Yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Literally
I always want to use
everywhere.
a big word.
That was good.
Keep up with your
impressive.
expertise. So green tea's everywhere, and you don't have to be a rich king to buy it, obviously. Yeah,
you can get green tea from any source almost. So green tea has what's called EGCG. It's Ellagiosidic acid. Okay. So EGCG is a substance that has been shown to be beneficial in an anti-inflammatory and an antioxidant type way for the body and for the cells of the body. It also has been shown, green tea in itself, to reduce onsets of breast cancer in females. So it has a very therapeutic effect. But the green tea works on a very specific part of the cell. And it actually works on, again, we've mentioned 3 different detoxification specific either enzymes, proteins, or pathways, right? We've talked about cytochrome P4. Oh my goodness!
What does it do for me?
Cytochrome P450.
What does green tea?
So what green tea does for you?
Then we'll get into the science.
Is it enhances the ability of the P glycoprotein to hold the medication a little bit longer.
Really?
Yeah. So essentially,
for what medication?
Let's say it regulates. The better way of saying this is it regulates the exchange of nutrients within the cell from the extracellular space to the intracellular space. So the regulation of whether something stays in the cell or is exited and relieved from the cell. Well, if something comes into the cell, that's when it can be active. That's when it can ramp things up and rev up the system in the body, right? So if a medication can't get into the cell, it can't be functional. It can't be useful in the body. So if you have a herbal like green tea that can activate the function to get something into the cell, like a medication, then that medication can actually be beneficial or more impactful in the body. So how does that work, or what medications might it work on or influence? Certain anti-neoplastic, like anti-cancerogenic medications. We talked about the anti-cancer type effect that green tea has. There's a medication called bortezomib. So bortezomib is essentially, and again, we're using generic names, so there are other brand names of these medications.
And you like to research. This is why what you're saying is so important. So like if you stumble over a word, you've probably read it in a research journal 10,000 times. It's not something that people say out loud very often, but like I know you and I know how much research you do. So this is me saying,
sure,
I believe in you.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
I felt like you stumbled over a word there and you looked a little abashed.
Yeah, okay. So the medications are not I'm a natural health doctor, right? Medications and their names and their pronunciations, I'm not talking about medications all day long. And so there are some times when I look at a medication, or especially a newer medication, but certain names of a medication or a new brand name of a medication, I'm like, what is this, right? And so I have to familiarize myself with saying it, just like learning any type of language or word, right? So that's what you're experiencing there. So
I'm also just struck by how much I see you reading all the time in journals, and I'm just in a world where people don't read as often as they used to. I'm comforted by the fact that the doctor that I believe in is constantly reading and researching journal. I don't know, just so people know that like this is what you nerd out on.
Yeah, I love it. This is what I love to do. I love to look at herbs. I love to look at plants, and I love to explore their potential for blessing the human race. And I believe deep down that the plants that we have had on Earth, even before the onset of the pharmaceutical industry in the last 150 years, I believe that the plants have had all of the answers to our ailments, and with the potential to ameliorate any issue that we have. All we have to do is unlock them. There's hundreds and thousands of compounds within the plant. So that's my fascination.
That's the mission statement right there. I just encapsulated it in my head. All right, we're going to save that one for later.
Ba-ching.
Okay.
So multiple myeloma, certain cancers, this tea plant could be beneficial to the use of the medications that would be used to treat those cancers. So it's anti-neoplastic is what we call it. Okay. Where else was I looking? Oh, the other medication, tamoxifen. This is a very common medication, and especially used for breast cancers or gynecological type cancers. So it's a selective estrogen receptor which essentially means that, that it works with more gynecological type cancer neoplasms. So again, it's anti-neoplastic. It will help and benefit the use of tamoxifen in the body and probably most of your anti-neoplastic type medications. So that's simple green tea.
Okay.
Everywhere. It's everywhere. Obviously, you would like to get a high quality green tea. If you can reduce any sort of a chemical spray or additive to the production process, that's even better. So I always like to say, source it from the highest quality place you can.
All right.
All right.
And with all these, you want to talk to your physician
Absolutely.
about how to implement it and how they would.
As far as dosing and everything,
Right.
talk to a qualified physician that's near you, or call our office, and we can give you suggestions and help either via virtual visit, or we can do it otherwise if you're local. So should we talk about the next one?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's talk about cat's claw next.
Heard of it? Sounds like maybe a root from Asia.
Yeah, something that grows in the kitty litter, something like that.
Is cat's claw not
I'm
something
just
used in maybe Asian medicine, like from the East? It sounds like something that would be prescribed by you, right? And I know your specialty is.
Yeah, well, I love to use herbs, so people often ask me, "Oh, you practice Chinese medicine?" And I do. I practice Chinese medicine. And Chinese medicine, really, when we say it that way, it's a theory. It's a process of thought, right? It's a way of organizing a diagnostic approach. So it's like, okay, I'm analyzing your body. How am I coming up with a diagnosis and therefore fitting that to a solution? And that could be herbal or acupuncture or tissue work or whatever, right? So people will say, "Oh, you do Chinese medicine. I don't want anything out of China."
Right.
People say that to me. I was like, well, that's okay, because I actually practice all of the herbs and plants of God's green earth, right? So it's really God's medicine, and the Chinese is an approach or a philosophy that I've learned in implementing the use of herbals or plants.
And we're in Utah, and so that's a way of describing what you do to like meet somebody halfway in a lot of cases.
Absolutely.
Right.
And so the reality is the cat's claw is actually a woody vine that grows in South America and Amazon.
Really?
Yeah.
So my perception was just way off, and I need to look in the mirror and...
You might be called racist here pretty soon. So.
Oh, boy. But I feel like I've heard of cat's claw in like Eastern medicine modalities.
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
So it's from South America.
So we use plants. The use of plants from all over the world now are used interchangeably within various types of medicine. So there's Ayurvedic medicine. There are very specific groupings of herbals that tend to be elevated in each medicine. And you can look at, the whole ayahuasca. We talked about plant medicine before. This whole plant medicine phenomena kind of attributed itself, or came, the genesis of it was from this Central and South American origin. And of course, it's been practiced throughout the world in a variety of different ways. And there are psychotropic plants that you can see growing throughout the world. But in the method that we approached it and that we saw, it's largely developed that we can see from South American roots. Okay, and a lot of people at certain times flew down there just to get to it. So cat's claw is a woody vine that grows in the rainforest of South and Central America. It's kind of in the Amazon area. It is antioxidant and anti-inflammatory. It's actually been shown to be super beneficial for knee osteoarthritis.
Wow.
Yeah, and it inhibits what is called tumor necrosis factor alpha, and it also will scavenge for free radicals. So it helps upregulate some of the immune function in the body, and it decreases the inflammatory response that we see occur in the body that causes pain.
So what medicine would somebody be on that this could help?
So an anticonvulsant, bipolar medication, epilepsy, a lot of your mental health type medications, you want to make sure that cat's claw is not going to interfere with that. So if you are taking a medication for your mental health, it would be something wise to do to check to say, hey, could cat's claw be interfering or actually benefiting me? Could I take cat's claw and therefore maybe need to take less of this medication?
So that's a conversation where it's like, we're showing you something. We're not totally unlocking it, opening the door, taking you on the tour into the next room, because
if you're going to be coming off of medication, you're going to wean off of medication, you need to be guided by a professional practitioner.
Totally.
And this is a way that you could assist yourself in doing that, or they could help assist you, but you would need to be overseen by a practitioner. It would be smart.
Do you like that when a patient comes in and says like, hey, I've been doing some research. I saw the recent, whether it's a pharmaceutical advertisement they saw during the football game or whether it's cat's claw. Like, do you like it when they come in with some names of stuff?
I do. I love to learn.
And then they say, well, can I try this? And then is that at least an engagement from them?
Yeah. For me, I see that as they're on a journey of their own health. And in truth, they are the captain of their own ship. And they're responsible for their health. Ultimately, it's not me. I'm their coach. That's the way I see it. I'm your coach. I'm a guide. I'm a resource. And I study all the time. And I love to look into the deep nitty-gritty stuff of how certain herbals can be beneficial, or how these herbals could actually be a replacement for these medications. Right? I love doing that. And so when I have patients come in and they're looking for or asking questions, hey, I read this article here or there. For me, I love it. I love it because I see it. Sometimes my patients educate me. Sometimes they come up with something and I'm like, I've actually never seen that plant suggested for that use, right? And so I go back and research it, and sometimes I validify it, and sometimes I'm like, no, I wouldn't do that, right? And other times, what I've seen happen is patients will bring me something, and it's an herbal or it's an approach that I've studied a lot before, and then we can counsel with them whether it's going to be beneficial given their physiology. So the key is really not to dive into any particular, Amazonian magic secret sauce from across the way. That is going to be the secret to ending all of your woes and physiological ailments, but to realize that biology is diverse and it's unique and individual. And so that's why I say too, you need to make sure you're guided when you're wanting to implement some of these in your diet, and you are on medication. Make sure that you're letting your care provider, the prescribing care provider, know of your intentions. Hey, I'd like to get off this medication. I can see that these herbals could be beneficial to help me do that. Are you in line with me? And in the United States especially, we always have the option to get another opinion, find a different doctor. If that's a goal of yours so strongly that you want to get off medication and your care provider won't support you in that, either you need to understand from a really good explanation on their part that you really shouldn't, and you should be on it for the rest of your life. And in certain rare instances, that's the case. But, or you find a new practitioner. So.
Mic drop. Okay.
So the two medications, anticonvulsants, and the other one is disease-modifying anti-rheumatic drugs. Okay. So two medications that might fall into this category are carbamazepine. Sorry. I just did that again.
It's all right.
The other one is leflunomide. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
So those are the two medications that, and again, those are generic names. So there's a lot of other brand names that you might be using that reflect to that generic medication. Should we talk about the next one?
Let's keep it moving.
Okay. Here we go. Let's talk about black cohosh. Black cohosh is used a lot in gynecological related issues and conditions as well. It's used a lot around perimenopause and menopausal type states. It's also used for improving concerns and issues with menstruation.
Okay.
So that's a really, really cool, beneficial plant. It inhibits the activity of the P-glycoprotein. So it will, again, help the body to be better at utilizing the medication and getting it into the cell and keeping it in the cell for a longer time. Okay? So you will definitely find, if you're taking black cohosh and you're on another medication like a immunosuppressant, like cyclosporin, for instance, you'll find that you don't have to take as much of it, or it makes it more effective by taking black cohosh. The other one is an arrhythmic calcium channel blocker. So it's a heart medication called verapamil. Okay, and it's used to treat hypertension and angina.
Okay.
All right. So those are the two medications that
Cyclosporin.
So cyclosporin is the immunosuppressant.
I've heard of that.
About. Yeah. So they'll use it a lot, and we've actually mentioned cyclosporin previously in the previous podcasts. And cyclosporin is used like as an immunosuppressant for organ transfer. So that when someone donates an organ and we're trying to we're trying to do a skin graft or something like that, we want the organ to be accepted by the body. And oftentimes, if you take another tissue from somewhere else and you implant it into your body, you have a complete different biome than that body literally sitting next to you. Okay. And so to just take that and put it in your body, your immune system would actually reject it immediately. So they give you immunosuppressants. They suppress the immune system to try to give your body a chance to get to where it can actually accept that organ and utilize it for the functions that it's created for.
And I just hear you talk about all this, and it's like there's just more to health than I think we're sold.
It's a deeper dive, that's for sure.
Just that there's other options that can help you weave through some of these difficult situations.
We had a patient just yesterday.
Because it's easy to, yeah.
And he said to me, his dad is a pharmacist. Okay, and it's the first time this guy had bought into coming to a chiropractor or acupuncturist. And I put together a treatment plan for him. He had some neck pain and some shoulder pain. He had some low back pain. And some knee pain, and we were working through it. We were using herbals, and I put a plan together. We were doing some cupping and some tissue work and acupuncture. We're very eclectic in our approach. I like to make sure I address things from a variety of avenues. And so he tells me yesterday, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe how much better I feel." He says, you did that cupping on me on my low back, and I was a little bit skeptical, and I was thinking, man, okay, well, I'll trust this guy and we'll see if this works.
It's an acupuncture technique that if you've never had it, it can leave those circle marks. Anyway, I've had cupping before, but it's pretty intense.
Yeah, we're actually doing it on Nick next podcast.
That's actually a good one.
Yeah. So look out, here it comes.
Get to double dip, get treated and do a podcast. All right, so you did cupping.
So we did cupping, and then he came back to us yesterday, and he said, "Oh my gosh, I haven't had back pain since. It feels great." Like that's bugged me. He says, literally, that's bugged me for years and years. So, yes, he was really blown away by that. And then he said to me, my father was a pharmacist, and he taught us if it doesn't come in a pill, it's of no good.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, that's what he taught. Yeah, so he grew up in a house that was, if it's not in a pill, it's no good. It's of no value and of no worth.
Wow.
And so I flipped that on its head for him. And his eyes began to open to a lot of the other benefits that are not found in a pill. And I also mentioned to him, that's funny because all day long, I study plants. And my personal belief with all the study that I've done over these 8 years is that we can heal from anything given the plants on God's green earth. All we need to do is access those compounds, understand them better, and figure out how to implement them into the human frame, and we will learn how to better our physiology.
And even if someone hears that and isn't fully bought in, what if we could meet somewhere in the middle between pills, God's green earth, maybe bioenhancers is the place to do it? Let's get to the next one.
Let's do it.
All right.
Okay, so
that's my job, is to keep us on
track. We've done green tea. We did cat's claw. We've did black cohosh, and now we're going to do saw palmetto.
Ooh.
Saw palmetto, people know frequently as a prostate. It benefits the prostate. So it's anti-inflammatory and anti-tumorigenic. It's very beneficial for prostate. And we use it for what is called BPH, benign prostatic hyperplasia. which is what happens when the prostate begins to enlarge and gets inflamed. Okay? So this can be very problematic. Frequently, men will begin to recognize this as difficulty urinating or urinary frequency or urinary dribbling. They'll have lots of dribbling. Or sometimes men will have BPH and they won't really notice it at all until they have some sort of scan, or they'll have an evaluation. It'll come up on a evaluation or imaging, and they'll go, oh my gosh, we need to look deeper into the prostate. I think the most frequent place that it comes up in is when we do blood tests. So we check for inflammation markers in the prostate when we do labs. And if we see that elevated, then we know, okay, we got to dive deeper here. So saw palmetto is actually, it inhibits the P-glycoprotein again. That P-glycoprotein is such an important protein that's embedded in it's the phospholipid bilayer of the cell. We like to say cell wall, but the cell wall is really a description of a plant cell. As humans, we don't have a cell wall. We have what is called a phospholipid bilayer. And the P-glycoprotein sits in there in between the phospholipid bilayer to allow things to come in and out. So that's what saw palmetto will do, is it will work on the P-glycoprotein. It's a fruit of the palm tree. So it's palm tree fruit. And it will improve or benefit certain use of medications like those that treat heart-related conditions, and also like calcium channel blockers we mentioned before, or peripheral alpha-1 receptor blockers. Okay, so these don't have to mean anything to anybody. That's just what they are. But the two medications are verapamil, we mentioned that before, and also prazosin. Okay. So those are the two medications that saw palmetto will enhance or bioenhance.
Ooh, bioenhance.
Okay.
All right.
So astragalus, you want to talk about astragalus?
We got time to do that.
Let's do it.
3 minutes.
Astragalus is one of my favorites. It's an immune enhancer. I use it I use most of these herbs. I use majority of them all in different herbal medications that I prescribe for patients.
Which folks, if they're curious, can find you? Community Health and Wellness,
CHWHeber.com.
CHWHeber.com.
And Heber is Heber. B as in boy.
In the description.
Yep, we'll put it in there.
Okay.
Astragalus is one of my favorite herbs. It works in so many beneficial ways, but it benefits the immune system. It's actually one of the herbals we talked about. We talked about lionade previously on a previous podcast. Astragalus is in lionade because it helps upregulate the immune system and protect the cells from overexposure to caffeine, okay, which you're not going to get with lionade, but it will help protect the cells anyway. And it also allows, as a bioenhancer, it allows the cell to be more efficient to receive and hold on to the lionade nutrients and substances that we're giving to you. So it plays a significant role within the lionade as an actor in that way, as a bioenhancer. So it's a plant that we've used in Chinese medicine for a long time, called Huangqi. Huangqi is what it's called. And if any of my Asian professors out there, you can totally correct me on that pronunciation, because I have had a hard time ever getting that right. And we've talked about stories like that before. But the plant is known to be adaptogenic. It's also, it proliferates immune cells. So it will help upregulate the immune system. It'll stimulate the release of cytokines, which are immune-acting cells. And it performs in an anti-aging and an anti-tumorigenic way. So it will actually benefit your body and enhance your immune system and your immune function. Okay, so two anti-neoplastic, two anti-cancerogenic medications that it will enhance are carboplatin and docetaxel. Okay, so those are the two medications, anti-neoplastic or anti-cancerous medications that it works on. One of those is more specific to fallopian tube neoplasms within the uterus and gynecological area. And the other one is more of a generic, the docetaxel is more of a generic cancer therapeutic. Okay. So I think did we cover them all? Did I miss one?
No, we didn't miss
Astragalus, saw palmetto, cat's claw, green tea, and black cohosh. Bioenhancers. Eat your plants.
Eat your plants. Take your supplements. I don't know what that means. Do what he says, not what I say.
If you're going to take a supplement, make sure you know why.
Yeah. Not just because you heard it on the internet.
Right. Know why you're taking it.
It's a beautiful thing. I feel like you think that I'm cutting you off, so you stop talking. I did cue the music.
I think the music is great. I'm like, this is good. We should probably play this the whole way through. Be entertaining for people.
Yeah. Hey, we're going to do a podcast soon where we go out into nature and we talk about...
Yeah. I think we just queued you up, though, for getting cupping next time, right?
Well, cupping sounds like an interesting treatment. So if you're still listening, comment down below. YouTube,
all right,
podcast platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review. Leave us a comment. Subscribe if you could. Would help the channel.
Enhance your body with plants, people.
Be well now.
Be well now. Namaste.
Namaste.